I've lived in Maryland my entire life, but I've always known that I should take some time to get out of the country. One day, I finally got that chance.
Because I was walking down the hallway, tour around the EMF office, and saw the flyer, and it was like, Hobbiton. I was like, I'm sold. Let's do it.
Crafting fantastic worlds is something that I'm really interested in my personal artwork.
This was my first time out of the country, and it was the first flight I've ever taken, airplane flight.
My name is Alex Albrittain. I, along with 10 other students, traveled to the North Island of New Zealand. While there, we experienced a new culture, befriended locals, and had adventures we had only ever dreamed of. After flying for 12 hours, we left the airport and made our way to orientation. I knew that at some point I might feel tired, but if I wanted to adjust to New Zealand time, I needed to stay awake. We met up with John, our awesome bus driver, who greeted us with a kia ora, which means hello in Māori. It hadn't really set in our minds that we'd traveled all the way to New Zealand. However, that all changed when we got to Hobbiton.
It was really cool to actually be in the place where they shot the film, and the tour guide was telling us, oh yeah, this is where Gandalf and Frodo was having the conversation about being late, and I was like, wait, this is the exact spot. I geeked out a little bit, yeah.
What didn't I like about Hobbiton? I mean, I took a costume specifically for that day because I knew it was going to be lit.
I've been a Lord of the Rings fan since I was a kid, and I can honestly say that Hobbiton did not disappoint.
Yeah, above Bilbo and Frodo's home. You guys all see that one? Yeah. So that tree is indeed fake. But guys, funny story. 10 days before filming, Peter Jackson comes out here to make sure the set looks perfect. He stands about here. He looks at that tree and goes, it looks really good, but the shade of green is a little bit off. So he made all his workers go back up there again in cherry pickers and re-spray paint each individual leaf. And it was only in the movie for about 12 seconds.
As I looked off into the distant hills and greenery of the farmland, it finally felt like the adventure had begun.
Is the implication of Lord of the Rings that sheep are even smaller than regular sheep?
Next up was our trip to the Waitoma glowworm caves.
Getting to climb over rocks and squeeze through places in the darkness, wading through water.
That actually tastes so good.
That was definitely a learning experience, taking photography in the caves, because I wasn't prepared for how completely dark it is. When the photo is finally revealed, it looks completely different than what your eyes can see.
It was something I thought I'd never see in my life. I always thought I'd be too scared to do anything like this, but I'm glad I finally did.
Honestly, every day when we get home, I'm like, oh, this was the coolest day that I've ever had. And then the next day, I just say that all over again.
After 3 days of exciting travel, we finally reached Wellington, New Zealand's capital. This is where we spent most of our trip, and this is where we finally settled and adapted to New Zealand culture.
I should have realized that because it's, a British colonized country, that it would be very English.
I didn't have a huge culture shock going down there because it was so welcoming and inviting, and everybody was just like, oh hey, there's so much work to be had down there for the field, and it just seems like a really nice, relaxed place to live.
We got to personally meet a lot of people who work down there. I think one of my biggest takeaways from this trip is how incredibly humble and supportive everybody is.
We met the editor of Lord of the Rings, and we got to hold his Oscar, and that was amazing. It was weighty too. I didn't expect it to be so heavy. And it was just so exciting. It was like, I have a lot of work to do, and I really want to get one of these on my own.
Him being so chill about all of that and like just plopping his Oscar down in my hands and like talking about like all that he's done and being open with like his experiences as an editor and like working with Peter Jackson and all of that was just insane.
It was also really inspiring just hearing all of the animators talk about the road to their personal success and just how they've been able to make their creative passions a reality for them. And that's made me really excited to get to work and hopefully be able to achieve something similar one day.
I think the biggest thing that I came away from this whole trip with was how I've kind of regained some of my passion for what I do, because when you're in school and you're kind of shoved into this box of project guidelines and things like that, you lose a bit of yourself. Going on that trip kind of helped rebuild that for me, because everybody down there, as far as like the arts go, and especially film, because New Zealand is a big like film tourist attraction, is that everybody is just so creative and so open about the arts, and the government and everyone down there is really supportive of it.
Despite making it big, they're all just regular people talking about what they love. And if they can make it, why can't we? Finally, we made it to Auckland, and there we went to Rangitoto Island. After the hike, we looked back and we could not believe we walked all the way up there.
It was like another hike that was like testing our physical ability, because that was a really steep hike.
I don't know, the hike up there was just kind of peaceful, especially given the fact that we had just spent 2 weeks doing a whole mess of stuff. Getting to the summit and seeing everything was just, like I said, awe-inspiring. Our group being together for 2 weeks was interesting. I kind of miss it.
The landscape here is just amazing, and we see like why so many filmmakers decide to film here.
I can at least speak for myself that I think this has been a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and it's definitely been life-changing for me.
This was my first time out of the country, and I'm glad I went. Personally, I'm looking forward to my next adventure.